Hello and welcome back. Anyway, it's me, your host, Tom, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about why should you become an expert? Like, what's in it for you? And what are the benefits you can expect, or the advantages, and all such other good stuff. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, just to give you a quick recap on what we talked about the last previous videos is, which we said that we're in the business of information. An expert business, or the expert business model, is basically we are in the business of selling information. So basically we're saying is the skillful application of information, and not just any kind of information, but the right information. And okay, so this is what we mean when you say the skillful application. Just to give you a reminder, we're talking about the right information at the right time and at the right place. That is a skillful application of information. And when you're able to master that, you can be able to change the lives of not only yourself, but that of others. But that's where you usually starting with changing the lives of others before it even begins to change your life. Now, so we talked about what this information really is. Now, information is a very generic term, or what you're really going to be sharing, or I'm really going to be sharing online. But basically, information here is basically made up of, the knowledge that you've acquired over the years, the skills that you've developed over the years, the talents that you were gifted onto you when you were born, the experiences that you've had in the life that you've lived. No matter how young or how old you are, there's certain experiences that are unique to you that shape your different kind of perception and, how you view the world. And that is the foundation of every expert career. And so when we talk about information, we're talking about unique skills, unique talents, unique experience, unique knowledge, unique expertise. It is the foundation of your expert career, the expert business model. And so you use your expertise, or that I'm going to use, even in this podcast, I'm going to use my expertise to build a profitable business that will not only help to change your lives. That's the first and the foremost. The biggest reason why I'm doing this is actually change the lives of others, because for me, I'm in it for the impact. We want to see the lives of others transform from where they are to where they want to be. And so that's why I'm inviting you to join me on this journey. Basically, we can find out how we can get to where we want to be in life, even though we're not there yet. And so basically, I'm going to use my expertise, and you're going to use your expertise to follow me along this journey. You're also going to use your expertise to build a profitable business that changes the lives of others and get you paid in the process. So basically, we're in the business of selling information, or basically our expertise. And here's the beautiful thing about it is, because when you're doing what you love, when you're learning, you're geeking out on what it is that you love, it doesn't feel like work. It feels more like, a day out at the park, or, just playing video games, whatever knocks your socks off. Basically, when you're doing whatever it is that you love, whatever you spend time doing, regardless of whatever it is, the time usually goes so fast, you don't even imagine how fast it has gone, because it is usually so much fun to you. And so basically, our goal here, our biggest objective here, is to never work a day in our lives, because we're going to be doing what we love. Something that excites you to wake up in the morning to do it. Okay, so that is basically, it's also an advantage, speaking of, but you're going to talk about basically the specifics of, in terms of limited towards the expertise, but some of the advantages that, you wake up every day with energy, with fresh energy, because you have a purpose, because it's not about the money itself, because once you've acquired a certain amount of money, you come to realize that it's not enough. Money isn't the fulfillment that you thought it was. It doesn't give you the satisfaction that you thought it would. It doesn't fix all your problems that you thought that getting money would help you with. But what happens is, when you're able to influence the lives of others in a positive way, in a better way, and they come to you and say, thank you so much, because if it wasn't for you, I couldn't have done this. If it wasn't for you, I couldn't have been able to do this. If it wasn't for you, I couldn't have saved my marriage. If I couldn't be able to own the house that I have. I couldn't buy my mom a house. That is why we're in it, because you're able to see the lives of others change. And not just one person, because this is transgenerational, whereby if you can change the life of one person, you are assured that you'll be able to change the lives of those around them, and everybody else, even if everybody else, be able to be influenced for the better. And so this is the goal of, the main objective of why you want to become an expert, to see the lives of others change and have a role to play in that. That is basically what you're doing. And to do that, the vehicle that we're using to get to that destination is information, basically using our own experiences, our own knowledges, our own experiences, our own skills, our own talents, the things that we've acquired over the years. We're going to use that as a vehicle to get people from where they are to where they want to be. And so why? Now, so let's go back into the basics. Why become an expert? Why should you become an expert and sell expertise? Well, first of all, for most of you, might be right now, you might be getting paid, and it's okay. It's okay. You may not have a grand purpose or a grand vision to see like 1 million people, help transform the lives of like 1 million people or anything like that. It is okay. But once you start finding your voice, once you start finding your calling, once you start finding yourself in this journey, because this one is not so much about the destination, but about the journey that we are going on. And so once you find yourself in the journey, you realize that this is what you are meant to do, or this is what you want to become. And you're free to change. Like I said in the previous video, there's not it's not a done deal, it's not a contract for life. You're free to change as your needs, as your talents, as your desires kind of evolve. Because as human beings, we don't stay the same. We are constantly evolving. And so you find that whatever you started with may not be the thing that you end up with. And that is okay. You may start off with a goal of making a certain amount of money, and then you realize that you get the most satisfaction by helping, a certain person do X, Y, Z. And so that itself become like, you make the degree or the shift comes there. And it's like when you're sailing on a boat. You may have an idea of the destination that you want to get to, but what happens is you always have to constantly adjust your sails by different degrees. That way you would end up in the destination. So sometimes you will drift way off, but there's always the opportunity to turn around, try to adjust the degree. And even then, you would have learned something in the process. So it's not about necessarily getting to the destination, it's about the journey thereof. It's about who you're becoming. And so one of the biggest and the fastest advantages here, because most of you, even myself, when I started this channel, was mostly because, I was money-minded a bit. Yes, I could say I want to do this and that, but a bit of me was also considering about, my financial situation and, how to change it best. Because even as I do this, if I have to be just plainly honest right now, I am basically, I can't say I have, I'm not that liquid, so to speak. And, this is a journey of self-discovery as well, to see the potential of what is hidden within me. And so wherever you are in your life, whatever you are in your business, whatever you are in your family, whatever it is, whatever limitations that finances have put upon your life, this is a journey to get financial freedom. And so that's the first advantage that you'll get out of becoming an expert. So it's the fastest route to financial freedom. Now, if you look at the stories of most millionaires, of most rich people that most billionaires that it always starts the same. First of all, they're an employee. They work for somebody. And so if you don't have a job, I recommend, first of all, the first thing is to get a job. So don't do this thing as if you're quitting your job to start this thing. No, I would recommend, first of all, getting a job. If you're already in a job, I recommend staying in that job until this thing picks up to a place where they can replace your income by maybe double, even triple the amount. And then you can consider leaving that job, depending on the kind of life that you want. And so the first place that most millionaires start is by becoming an employee. And then once you're an employee, you gather enough money, you gather enough expertise, enough experience while you're working on the job to start a side hustle. So you start something on the side. And so this blog, this channel, this podcast is my side hustle. And so you, for yourself, you can do the same. It can be your side hustle before it becomes your main business. Because what is that side hustle? The goal of the side hustle is mainly to help you see if there's a possibility, if there's something that can come out of it that is positive, that can help have a positive impact on your finances and your ability to do what you love and stop and, escape that kind of 9-to-5 grind. And so first of all, you start as an employee, you begin a side hustle like a channel, a YouTube channel, a podcast, a blog. And then once it grows to a certain level, you become a business owner, because now you turn it into a business. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you run the side hustle as only a few hours in a day. No, you run it as a business. But before it becomes unofficially business, so that you can become a business owner, is, it gets to a point whereby it can work without you, or it's operational without you. And then at that point, what happens is you can become an investor or a venture capitalist, or whatever it is that you want to call it. You can do whatever it is that you want with your money. You can start, if you're a chef, you can start maybe creating your own farm, creating organic farming or whatever. You can branch it to as many areas. But the problem is, or the limiting factor in most people's lives is, they don't have the capital or the cash, and they're not liquid enough to be able to take up opportunities as they come. And so you have to save and save and save. And that is, if nothing happens out of the ordinary, if you don't have hospital bills, nothing comes out of the ordinary that will take away that lump sum of money that you've saved up. And so this is a problem. And so the biggest benefit of starting an expert business is it is the fastest route to becoming a the fastest route to financial freedom. Basically, if you want to get from becoming an employee to an investor, this is the fastest vehicle that will get you there. Okay, so it's like getting on a Bugatti and you're going from 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds. This is the key. And as I've read so many different stories about so many different millionaires, I have found this to be a true pattern in their lives. That most of them started out this way. They were employed somewhere. They started a business, a side hustle somewhere, and then as they continued to grow, they went from becoming an employee to a side hustle. They own a business. They become an investor. And Robert Kiyosaki has talked about this. I don't remember what he was called, but he had this a 4-square pathway of becoming rich or financially independent, and it talks about the same thing. Okay, so if you haven't read a book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, you should basically check it out. Now, the second biggest benefit that you'll get in starting an expert business is because it is highly profitable. You get huge profit margins. No other business will give you the profit margins that you'll get with selling information or becoming an expert. Because here's the thing. You're going to be selling information. You're going to package that information in different materials into different products. And some of this product includes books, including consulting calls, including coaching calls, including courses and memberships and mentorships, and other programs and speaking engagements. And you notice something about all these things. The cost of production is very, very minimal. A book, you only have to write it once, and then for years it can continue to generate revenue. As a consultant, you get paid by the hour for your information or for your expertise. And so you can have company booking you all year long, all year long, just to be able to access the information that you have. And for coaching calls, the same thing. People can come to you and ask for your help in becoming the best version of themselves as they can, depending on the field that you're in. So if you're a cook, if you're a chef, you can help people become better chefs. If you're a cook, you can help people become better cooks at home. And so you notice that as you develop these relationships with these people and help them, basically all you're doing is you're just tapping into that information bank that is within you that you've acquired over the years. And as you continue to develop it story by story, it does not cost you much except for the time that it will take you to actually speak to somebody. And once you're an expert at a certain level, you can charge a lot of money to share that information. Okay, and it may start off as 1-to-1, like me to you right now, and then may go off to 1-to-many, whereby you can charge people like $1,000 and charge like 10 people for 1 hour of your time, and just made $10,000 just like that in 1 hour. Now, the money video, we're going to look at that later on, way later on, but right now, I'm trying to get you to understand this is one of the benefits of starting an expert business, because it is highly profitable. And you can use your profits to do anything else you want, to live the lifestyle that you want, to buy your mom that home, to buy that dream car that you always wanted, to get your families the things that they always wanted, to be able to feed your kids whatever they want, to be able to give them vacations on Disney or whatever it is that you want to take them in the world. And so it makes you feel more confident about yourself, but you shouldn't base your confidence on your money. But it will help you do a lot of the things and provide for the family the way that you've always wanted to. And so it's highly profitable business, and there's no other route that I could recommend than becoming an expert business. Another thing, the third thing here, is that it has a minimal amount of technical and financial barriers. You see, compared to a normal business, you'd have to go look for a place to start off, so a brick and mortar, like a physical location where you're going to base your business off of. Then the second thing is probably have to renovate the place so that it can look the way that you want it to look like, and that would cost you money. You also have rent that you have to pay. You've got utility bills you have to pay. You've got inventory, and you've got stock. And maybe you have an employee or 1 or 2 people to help you around the shop or whatever it is. And so you notice before you even get the first sale, you've invested so heavily into a brick and mortar business without even getting a single sale. Whereas when it comes to starting an expert business, the only investment you need truly is basically, like, for instance, I'm doing this recording on my phone. I haven't bought any equipment. I haven't bought a lapel mic or whatever. I'm just doing it basically on my phone. And so it's one of the easiest ways for you to start an expert business, because all you require, if you already have a phone, you can start, because YouTube is free. Starting a podcast is basically free. And basically you just have to invest in learning, your time in learning, and you can start producing amazing content based on your expertise and start helping other people from day one. And so here's what happens. Before you even spend a dime, you can even begin earning a dime. Okay? And so that's one of the biggest benefits. So there are 3 main benefits when it comes to or why you should become an expert. Number one is the fastest route to financial freedom. The fastest way to go from becoming an employee, starting a side hustle, to owning a business, and finally to becoming an investor. Number two, it is highly profitable. You have huge profit margins. You only need to create a book once and it will sell again and again for years. Number three, it has minimal technical and financial barriers. On speaking of technical barriers, you notice that on this age, starting a media outlet, so to speak, or a channel whereby you can speak is almost negligible. The cost is almost negligible. A long time ago, you would probably go on radio or something, start a radio station, buy all the equipment and whatnot, just start a radio, and you don't even know how profitable it's going to be or even it's going to work. But the beauty of this one is there's already an audience, there's already a market. You've got YouTube already. It's already a channel that already works. People are already going to YouTube, and so all you have to do is just kind of align yourself properly, and the people will just come to you. And you have to, obviously you have there's going to be some marketing on your part. You're just going to just put your hands, just going to fold your arms and just expect people to come. No, you have to go out there and market yourself. But other than that, the cost of production, so to speak, is negligible. And even the technical barriers involved, it is negligible. Imagine starting a website 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago. You need to learn how to code. I remember the first website I made. I was on Codecamp Academy. I learned how to use HTML, CSS, PHP, JavaScript. And the first website I made, I charged $100. I sat there for 2 weeks. For 2 full weeks, working from morning to evening, coding the entire website from scratch. Every single page, the index page, the HTML, and I had to learn everything from scratch. And then I made WordPress, and now I can do it. I can do it. And that was about in 2014, and now I can do it in about a day and have a website up and running. And so the technical barriers when it comes to starting some of these things, or your channel, or whatever it is that you want to start, whether it's a blog or a channel. We talk about the different channels that you can use later on, but whatever it is that you want to start, basically you have multiple channels. You've got a blog, you've got a YouTube channel, you've got a podcast, you've got, you can start on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever it is, whatever channel or the outlet that you're going to choose. We'll discuss more on those ones later on, but basically the barrier to starting that channel is very minimal. And so you can start off from day one. Basically, you decide today, and at the end of the day, you can have your YouTube channel set up, you can have your blog set up, you can have your podcast started, and you can just do all these things just like that. Okay, so those are the 3 main benefits of why you should become an expert. Now, these are 2 parts episodes, so we're going to talk about the next episode. On the next episode, we're going to look at the other benefits, but this one is in more relationship or more geared towards the type of expert business that you will start. So stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button, because on the next video, we're going to talk about the 2 different types of expert businesses, and let's see if you can be able to find out which one works for you. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you're excited as I am to go on this journey. Ciao.